Hello and welcome to Giant Mess, a super sloppy and currently very sick sports and entertainment talk show that dabbles in a little bit of everything. Cover the New York Football Giants. We unfortunately have to talk about the New York Mets. And then there's some movies, TV, and a whole bunch of life lessons mixed in for good measure. It's hosted by Giant Mess. That's me, the real cinch, Neal Lynch. I'm an Irish Italian-American who graduated from a Catholic high school, but not Catholic. And then I earned a couple of overpriced degrees from a private research university. It's known for producing doctors and lacrosse players. Then it became neither. Instead, I like to tell very long-winded stories that have like one or two funny moments. And if you stick around and gut it out for those one or two funny moments, you're a soldier. Soldier boy, tell them. You can leave a voicemail at 862-248-1986. It's 862-248-1986. 862-248-1986. Subscribe to Giant Mess on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Giant Mess or Real Cinch or Neal Lynch. One of those three should work. You can follow me on my official blog. Trying to update it, trying to keep you up to dates, but it's tough. NealLynch.com, Facebook.com/Giant Mess, Real Cinch on Twitter and Instagram. And then make sure, if you're not into the video, which you can usually find on YouTube or Spotify, you can listen to the audio. You don't have to put up with this ugly mug on Apple or wherever you like to put audio into your brain. On today's episode, we're going to talk about my 9-day trip to South Carolina coming raise up. My last ever flight on Spirit Airlines. Hit the music, boys. Cue it up. Hallelujah. Play the trumpets. Actually, no more trumpets. That's because the Mets lost, and we'll get into that. But the 9-day trip to South Carolina, it was chock full of exciting moments. That's what happens when you throw 4 kids together and a bunch of adults in a rural place where anything goes. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, talk about we went to a farm. You gotta go to a farm when it's October, and you gotta do it wasn't a haunted hay ride, but we got to ride with the tractor, the little tractor pole, the corn maze, big ass slides, pop a shot, big size pop shot, vehicles, barbecue, all kinds of great stuff at that freaking farm. Lots of meats, so many red meats, so many cigars, so much booze, and so much for being able to watch any of my favorite sports teams out of market. That is a tough one when you've gotten laid off due to company restructuring and you're trying to cut back and you sign up for a service that you think gives you all these things but doesn't give you any of those things. And then you gotta try and bootstrap some kind of live stream to watch your team lose. Cool. And sleep aids. Well, I guess we'll get into sleep aids. I don't understand. I mean, it should be called death aid in my honest opinion. Got a couple interviews, talk about jujitsu, a little bit of jujitsu, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about the Day Shift movie that came out on Netflix with Dave Franco, Jamie Foxx, Snoop. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about Do Revenge, another movie on Netflix with Maya Hawke, who's Ethan Hawke's daughter. If you don't know who Ethan Hawke is, he's married to Uma Thurman. If you don't know who she is, wow, bro, fucking wow. And also Camlla Mendes, who's in Riverdale. If you don't know what Riverdale is, that's fine with me, dude. I'm old, you're probably old too. So that's what, we'll get into all that crap and more on the South Carolina trip. So without further ado, let's get it started up in here. Let's get our word up in here. Yes, this 9-day trip to South Carolina couldn't have been timed any better because I just lost my job the previous Tuesday. I was going to have Bree for a long ass time. I mean, that's what divorce life is, right? It's just negotiating. When you have shared custody, it's just like, if I do this and you do that, and if I give you a 2nd round draft pick next year, and maybe a player to be named later, can I get her on Wednesday night? It's like, dear God, what are we doing with our lives? But yeah, unfortunately, that's what divorce life is when you have shared custody of a kid who is going to be not going to be 18 until 2036. Holy shit. But because my daughter's mother, thou who shall not be named, who rhymes with ass, she was going to Greece. God knows why. I don't pry. Wipe that tear from your eye. Why am I rhyming? I don't know. But no, she went to Greece, I don't know, for a wedding, for her birthday. It was her birthday a couple Fridays ago. So maybe she went for all expenses paid trip with God knows who. the new boyfriend who's actually her old boyfriend, who's now the new boyfriend, maybe her best friend who sabotaged her relationship. What? I didn't say that. Get out of here. And maybe her sister. I don't know. All three of them hate me, and I'm not, I kind of wish they did a little bit more for me, gonna be honest. But, that's not how you should look at life, Neal. God damn it. Come on. That's why I need to go back to therapy, because you can't count on others. You need to count on yourself. You can't let, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, she went to Greece, probably had a hell of a time. And so for a long time, I think from Thursday through yesterday, Sunday. So Thursday, the 1st of October through Sunday, the 9th of October. It's a long time. And I was more than happy to take Bree down to South Carolina. This had been planned out for a while, and because she has a blast down there, and my sister and brother-in-law and my grandmother are phenomenal hosts. They really roll out the red carpet for us and make us feel like king of the castle and princess of the castle. So very appreciative and grateful for everything they do for us. I mean, my sister has lost a ton of weight. I shouldn't say a ton. God damn it, Neal. Whew. She's slimmed down, but she like fasts. It just doesn't eat for an entire day. Like intermittent fasting, which I've tried to do, and it's just like, I guess it does work if I only exercised. If you only just got off y'all fight ass and ran or lifted weights, you'd be Slim Shady right now. But nope. So it takes me a little bit longer to lose weight, because it's like I just have to slowly starve myself. She just straight up does 24-hour fasts, and so she's really slimmed down. And so has my brother-in-law. They've gone like the keto route. It's like no carbs whatsoever, except maybe some booze here and there. And so they really slimmed down. I just remember when I was doing that shit, and the amount of shit that I got from peeps being like, you can't have bread, you can have pasta, you can have potatoes. Oh, you're such a loser. Oh, Miss, you're so lame. It's like now they're doing it and they look great. So, and I'm not doing it and I look horrible. So there you go. Life ain't she a bitch. But when I go down there, all hands on deck, but also all cards on the table, everything goes. Like the whole fasting thing and the whole like keto thing goes straight out the window. It's like she had pumpkin muffins, pumpkin donuts, banana pudding. It was just like, I'm going to make up for all those days I fasted in a week. So I definitely put on like 5 or 6 pounds. No big deal. But I did work out because my brother-in-law got me to work out the one day. I got to do back for the one day. So that was cool. But I think the biggest takeaway from this trip to South Carolina, there are a lot of takeaways. The biggest takeaway is, or the biggest achievement, milestone, accomplishment, I don't even know what you want to call it. Biggest news, I have to fly Spirit, y'all. That's it. I'm officially done. No longer have to take any more flights on Spirit. And man, did they go out with a fucking bang, man. The shenanigans that I went through on Saturday the 1st and Sunday the 9th. I mean, chef's kiss from Spirit Airlines to be like, oh, these are your last times flying with us. Let us make them special for you. This is for you. Friday was the date night and with my daughter. And so we went to Wendy's because I'm unemployed and I'm trying to like, I don't want to break tradition, but we can't be going to these freaking places. It's like, $60 for an adult and a child to have dinner. Cool. So Wendy's it is. And I mean, she doesn't know freaking different. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't know different. So, and I like Wendy's and she likes Wendy's and she actually eats her burger at Wendy's. Like if I take her to that Brick Tavern or whatever the hell it's called over there, they give her sliders, which is ridiculous. Why are you giving a kid 2 burgers that are like adult sized burgers just about and call them sliders? What are we doing, dude? If you're going to call them sliders, they got to be like size of a golf ball. They got to be super small. I mean, sliders for adults normally are small, mostly. So why are the sliders for kids adult sized burgers? It just blows my mind. But we went to Wendy's and of course, a homeless gentleman, I think it was a gentleman, a lot of hair, so I couldn't tell, on the face and everywhere, and a lot of dirt and a lot of layers. I think that's the look, very chic for the homeless, which I shouldn't poke fun. I could be homeless in a year, maybe even quicker than that. Who knows? This homeless person, I don't know if it was a man or a woman. I'm leaning towards a man, but he could be they could be non-binary. I'm not really sure. Oh, I'm gonna get canceled. Oh man. I'm canceled. So then this homeless person is sitting up towards the counter where you pick up your food, because you can do the order through the kiosk because people hate people and I get it. And of course, I somehow even fucked that up ordering at the kiosk. It's like they gave me a burger without a bun. in like a plastic thing, even though I said I was eating here. And I was perplexed. I was like, what is this hockey puck? What is that disc? It's like an air hockey disc. What is that? Like, well, you said no bun. I was like, why would I say no bun? Oh man. Anyways, a homeless person sitting down close to the counter where you pick up your food and mumbling and grumbling. And it's the intonations, right? The rhythm of this person's voice, the cadence or whatever, made you believe that they're talking in full coherent sentences, when in reality they're just throwing a bunch of words out there, random words that aren't necessarily related to each other. And at first when we got in there, it seemed pretty standard fare. It seemed pretty PG, type language. And I was like, all right, well, it doesn't seem violent. Seems like maybe they had a business partner. Maybe there was a falling out, possibly. That's understandable. So order my food, my daughter's food, get it. And this is why I'm surprised. I always consider myself to have a good peripheral vision, if you will. But man, when I get focused on something, it's like nothing in the world exists other than that thing I'm looking directly at. Like not being able to find 3 World Trade Center when it's like, hey, Snuffleupagus, pick up that trunk of yours and take a gander up north. There's 3 World Trade Center. You're standing right in front of it, jackass. So similar thing here where it was like, I go to the soda machine because I ordered unsweetened iced tea. Again, life's so short. Why am I depriving myself of the sweet for that extra 3 years? I'm going to get it on the tail end. Cool. The soda machine is one of those like newfangled, I guess they're not that new, but like the ones where it's not you hold your cup under your selection and push, and there's like a dozen different soda fountain type levers or whatever. This is the touch screen that you normally see at the movie theater, where it's like, all right, you press a button and there's just one spout, and then you press the button when you want, and you hold it under. Great. So I'm like looking for iced tea, looking for unsweetened iced tea, and I'm like, I'm not seeing it anywhere. And so eventually I find iced tea, and it's like like it says iced tea 0 calories, like diet iced tea, and I'm like, I guess that's what I ordered. I don't remember that. I hit that, I pour it, big ass cup, and then I go to get a napkin and ketchup for my daughter, and it's just like, well, no, there's the unsweet iced tea canister, takes up half the wall, looks like a freaking torpedo. Can't miss it. Anyway, my daughter and I, we go to I was like trying to encourage her to sit as far away from the homeless person as possible, because that's to her, that's like, oh, look at the dirty Santa. He's so funny. He's just saying a bunch of words. He's so silly. And I'm like, he's probably getting shiv or something. So let's just move it along, little doggy. So we did eventually, I gently persuaded her to sit as far away as possible from this homeless person. And I guess us passing that person really triggered him to go into like crazy mode. Because then as I'm sitting there eating dinner with my daughter, he starts throwing a couple rapes in there, and then a couple F-bombs and like S-bombs and C-bombs, and talking about Trump. And it's like anytime you got Trump going on, it's like people get all rattled. So it was kind of touch and go. I kind of like would do this like, nonchalant kind of turn to make sure, okay, the person's still sitting. They're not wielding a weapon. Awesome. But like the volume was increasing, and like the profanity was increasing. So we got out of there by the skin of our teeth. But we come home and we immediately went to bed. It was like 8 o'clock. I had to pack a little bit, which I hate packing, dude. Packing, it just sucks. I overpack, I rethink it. So I overpack, zip up the suitcase, overthink it, take out half the clothing, zip it back up, and then I get down there and it's like, hey, I'm not sure if you're aware, but South Carolina is in the South, and they don't really get winter or fall. Because I go there expecting, okay, the high is going to be 70 maybe, but the low is going to be like in the low, But no, I didn't bring like their pool is still open. I didn't bring a bathing suit. I didn't bring a swimsuit for my daughter. It's just like, dude, it's October. What are we talking about? Go to Fright Fest, bundle up and go to Fright Fest. And no, you don't bundle up. You actually need to remove a bunch of your clothing, Neal, which no one wants, but it's got to happen. Because the alternative is sweat stains, and those are just as ugly. I don't know. So my flight is at 9:12. I think it was supposed to schedule to take off. So to get, and if you remember from one of the previous episodes, Spirit, on the weekends, I guess at least, doesn't know how to handle their business. And so I didn't want to get caught in a line to check my bag and then miss my flight again. So I decided, okay, we're going to wake up at 4:15 in the morning, and we're going to take the 5:12 train from Princeton, which is about 8 to 10 minutes away, drive. That's going to be about an hour to put us into Newark, Liberty Airport Station where we ride the rail link for another 15 minutes. And then we'll be at the gate at 6:30, hopefully. So we wake up at 4:15. I'm actually shocked and surprised that, I wasn't completely all there, but was more with it than I thought it would be. My daughter was a champion after she asked some kind of oddball questions where it was just like, oh, you're still in that dream, huh? Hey, you're still in that dream? So asking some random questions about why did the unicorn bite the wolf? Like, oh man, it's a tough one. So when she woke up after the 3 or 4 questions of nonsense, we caught the 512 train. Of course, waiting on the platform for the 512 train, it's like not light out. And she's like, whoa, that threw her off. Like, whoa, it's dark. And then it threw her off that it was so cold and rainy. I was like, didn't bring a raincoat. And I thought, well, we don't want to get too bundled up because once we get to South Carolina, it's going to be like in the 70s. So we have to, I guess, grin and bear it. And that was tough for her on that platform for 5 to 10 minutes of just chattering her teeth so hard that it's like, gonna be like Toothless Joe in a little bit. Call it the train, the rail link, and we were at the gate. Everything went smoothly at the gate at 6:30. And then 9:12 came around. 0 announcements from the gate, from the rep at the gate. I don't even know what their title is, but 0 announcements. And everyone's just like, so do we board now? Like, is this a silent count? We're going silent count at the line. Got it. Well, you should have said that in the huddle, but no announcements. 9:12 comes around, and I find out through a website called Flight Aware that it's delayed. And then eventually they got around to updating like the information on the TV screen that's behind them. I was like, okay, I guess the 9:12 has been delayed to 10:12. Okay, cool. All right, this is interesting. Meanwhile, the gate next to us just assaulting us with announcements. They gave this one group of 6 or 7 people, I want to say a dozen shots to make this plane. They announced it 12 times. And I know their names by heart. Diego Sanchez. No, I don't remember all their names, but it was, I just feel like it was a Hispanic family. And then you're like, whoa, that seems like a lot of people kind of the similar ethnicity sounding name, but no, they're probably it's probably just coincidence. Myrtle Beach, very popular with the Hispanic Latinx community. And we all know that. So, and then a dozen times it got to the point where I was like, I'm just going to pretend to be one of those people because our flight, you thought one delay was interesting. Nope. Our flight, 10:12 rolls around. No announcements. Again, I found out through FlightAware website on my phone. And then finally the TV screen at like 10:15 a.m. decides to update. Might have been even 10:30. A full half hour after this flight was supposed to take off, the TV screen will update like, oh, it's actually like 11:15 now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, so the gate next to us just made announcements nonstop for 4 flights. There were 4 flights scheduled to take off after us at 9:12 a.m. All 4 of those took off before we did. All of them had fucking announcements out the wazoo, dude. And our gate just had 0 announcements. It was a half an hour after the first delay, 10:12, that they made an announcement. It's supposed to be 11:12. 11:12 rolls around. What you thinking, dude? Huh? What are you going to put your money on? Do you think it's going to be 0 announcements, which has a minus 1,500 odds right now? You'd be right. Yep. No announcements, 0 announcements. And the TV screen updates to 11:45 again after I found out about it on FlightAware. And then I think it was, and all of us sitting there at the gate are trying to figure it out. We're like, well, the plane has been like, we're all looking at the same plane, right? It's at our gate and it's been there since 6:30 in the fucking morning when we got here in the dark. Yeah. Remember that when we got here in the dark and then the sun came up and we're still not on this plane? Do you remember that? Literally, my daughter looked at the window and goes, "Oh my God, it's the sun." Like, yeah, we were here for sunrise, and a lot of great and good came out of it. So yeah, 11:12 passes and goes, no announcement, no updates, and then finally it's like 11:45 was the new departure time. Again, no announcement. FlightAware and the TV screen updated, and then like the normal boarding time, because the flight takes off at 11:45, right? The boarding time would be 15 minutes before that. So that time comes and goes, no announcement of like zone 1 not boarding, nothing like that. And so we're just sitting there going, what the hell is going on? Now, keep in mind the hurricane had just come through in Florida and South Carolina, like that previous week. So it's like, was Myrtle Beach that impacted that the flights that they're trying to get in and out are just not happening? And I think 2 of them got canceled, the one before ours. But plane had been there, according to FlightAware, plane had been there overnight. So what's the deal, guys? And then finally, like right at when we're supposed to take off, 11:45, the woman goes, "Oh, I have some great news. We're going to start departing soon. Okay, zone 1. And I'm just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna completely 100% just neglect, just hop right over that mountain of announcements that we forgot to do. She said something about we've been cleared by the blah 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 blah, some council or board to take off. That was the only reasoning or explanation. It was like she got on and she goes, some great news. We're gonna we got approved to take off by the blah 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 blah, and we're gonna begin boarding soon. And then she was like, and zone 1, you're up. And it's just like, what? Okay, you're not gonna tell us. And then we get on the plane, and we get on the plane, and the first thing after my flight's been changed 3 or 4 times delayed, and I got here at 6:30, and now we're just now taking off at almost fucking noon, dude. Sorry, yeah, noon. After that, the flight attendant is gonna say, good morning. Who is you, dude? Who is you? First of all, 12 p.m., bro. PM. We're not in the AM anymore. We're in the PM now. Can't say good morning. A. B. You can't say good morning. You could say morning or morning, right? Or morning or morning. The more sad you appear and downtrodden, that's better for the greeting. I don't need good morning when I've been sitting with a 4-year-old for 4 hours waiting for this godforsaken plane. Don't say good morning. And then we get to our seats, and the window shades are all up. And then one of the flight attendants, an older gentleman, comes by and says to my daughter, hey, little one, what's your name? So my daughter says her name. She goes, oh, could you do me a favor? Could you close those shades? We're about to take off. And so she's like, okay, I'm 4. What are shades? Just real quick. My friend was asking, like, what are shades? So she doesn't know what's going on. And, enough time passed. I'm sure like it was a second, but in my head, it felt like we're sitting here for 5 minutes while she tries to figure out what this guy's talking about, because she's 4. So eventually, like, I see a hand from the seats behind us, come around and try to close that shade. And so I was like, all right, yeah, I think people want to get going. So in my head, that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, we gotta get going. So I kind of feel compelled to, okay, I'm going to help her out, or I'm going to do it. Cause like I'm tired and I just want this plane to get off the freaking ground. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of reach over to start closing the shade, and he goes, no, daddy, we let her do it. And I said to him, nah, that's cool. Let's get this show on the road. Like, bro, have you been getting the updates? We've been sitting out there for fucking 4 hours waiting for you to give us some kind of clue about what the fuck is going on. And then you're gonna like play this cute little stupid game with my daughter for 5 minutes. It felt like 5 minutes. It was probably like 5 seconds, but it's like, dude, I just want to, like, you need to do other things. Go right now. Get everything ready so we can get out of here. Like, don't pull that shit. I feel like the requirements for being, no offense to any flight attendants, I guess, but goddamn with these flight attendants, man. They don't have to pass a test, do they? Do they get any training? I can't imagine it. I can't imagine they get enough training to deal with what's going on an airplane. At least not the ones on Spirit. No clue. So the pilot comes on and he goes, oh yeah, the plane had a mechanical issue and the operations at the tower in Myrtle Beach were down or something like that. And I was just like, okay, interesting. They try to get, it's just like the delays, and that's not the delay. The delay is you, motherfucker, got wasted last night and you're hungover as balls, and your alarm clock slept through your alarm clock, and then you were late. You woke up like, I don't know, half an hour before the flight, and you called and you're like, I'm so sorry, but it's gonna take me a while to get in gear this morning. I kind of went a little nuts at the club last night. I'm attacking the entire airline industry, but at this point, I'm willing to become John Madden. I really am. I'm willing to save up for a Madden cruiser, pimp the fuck out of it, and then that's how I get to you. Okay, domestically, North American wise, maybe even South American wise. I feel like the Western Hemisphere, I got it covered. Now, if we get to the Eastern Hemisphere, I'm willing to do like a old wooden ship, like a Viking ship, because it looks cool as fuck on House of the Dragon. Anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that. Oh, lordy. Just say, hey, guys, I went out a little too hard last night, and I met a little lady or gentleman. I met a person, and that person and I rocked each other's worlds. So I didn't get much sleep, and the sleep I did get wasn't great. It was junk sleep because of the tequila the night before. I don't believe you when you say mechanical issue with the plane, and I don't believe you when you say there's an operations problem at Myrtle Beach, because there are flights going in and out of Myrtle Beach because I have FlightAware on my phone. Ugh. Anyway, I'm just so sick of flying in airlines. It's amazing how quick that happened. I don't know why. Like I was like, yeah, I don't mind flying. I'll fly anywhere. Who cares? Now I'm at that point now where it's like, I can't fucking do this anymore. I don't care how much time it saves me. I don't care. And maybe that's what Spirit does to you. It just kills your spirit. Oh my God. I just figured out why they're called Spirit. Because they take your soul. They take your will to live. They take your enthusiasm. I get it. Yeah, so, and the flight was fine. It was like, I think I fell asleep and she fell asleep and there was no problems once we got in the air and got there. But it's just like people who stand up in the aisle as soon as the plane stops moving, which I've kind of, I hate. I used to really, really hate all those people, but then I started making exceptions and I'm like, I get it for people with knee problems that need to stand or like back or butt problems or like people who feel claustrophobic and like, okay, I get it. But then, okay, I'm not, there's no hate anymore for 90% of the people that stand up when the plane stops moving. It's the 10% of people that stand up when the plane is moving and then decide to blow past your fucking aisle without letting you get out. And then act offended when you make a move and try and box a bitch out, Draymond Green style, Dennis Rodman style. Like, what? How are you offended? I'm trying to get out of my aisle. All right, so you win the aisle heretofore because you popped out of your seat as soon as the seatbelt sign came off. And Lord knows you didn't have your seatbelt on when that sign came on, okay? Or went off. You didn't have it on when it went off. No, you, as soon as the plane, I assume there's a great deal of people that just don't even do their, I'd probably buckle their seatbelt, buckle, and then wait for the attendant to go by and then take it off and be like, fuck y'all. There's definitely a person who does that. So there's those people, but then there's the people that like immediately pop it off. And again, there are multiple exceptions. I get it. You fat. You got to get it off you. You're fat. It's joking. You're fat. I get it. But need to like, again, and I understand there are people that have anxiety about flying and that's probably a first reaction. But like, you can't be half the flight with the fucking anxiety. 3/4 of the flight has anxiety. They got to pop up the seatbelt and get in the aisle as soon as possible. Now, the ultimate person that I hate. So there's a level above, in my opinion, there's a level above, pops seatbelt off as soon as plane lands or doesn't wear seatbelt at all, pops up into the aisle, then doesn't let people in aisles ahead of them get out. That's that person who does not have a connecting flight. So add that layer. And then is also young. You're an old person. I get it. Them bones. I get it. You got to get off the friggin' plane because you got to do something. You only got so much time left, right? So old people who do all that, I can't hate you too much. The person in there, so I need to clarify young. Good call, Neal. Clarify young. I would say out of college, mid to late 20s, early 30s. You're in that age range and you do all those things and you're trying to blow past me while I'm trying to get out. I'm going to throw hands, dude. I'm going to throw bows at that point. I have to because you need a freaking lesson. And that's what happened. I was like, I'm just trying to I'm trying to jump in the stream of things, It's like Nemo in the friggin' jumping into the tunnel, the East whatever tunnel, Atlantic Pacific Ocean tunnel, and finding Nemo. Oh my God. So it's like that. I'm like, about to jump rope down the block. You know what I'm saying? With some kiddos. And so I finally I just kind of decided to get out there, just wedge myself into the stream down that aisle. And it's a woman who's like in their mid to late 20s, I think, or early 30s, who thinks she's still in college and or high school. I don't know. Then gives me I wanted to I just wanted to wheel and deal. You know what I'm saying, my man? Mm-hmm. To the moon. There was a flight down there. Can you imagine that? I know we went to some hibachi place and there was a couple where we got to sit outside and there was another couple outside and they were just full on PDA. I saw them completely full tongue on tongue, make out in the corner of this outdoor patio of a hibachi place. And as soon as we stepped out there with, my niece, my nephews, my daughter, all just, I was just how's that for your boner, dude? Did we just homicide your boner, dude? So yeah, that was interesting. I don't even know what we did that night. Good God. But I was pretty tired. Sunday was the Giants-Bears game. I learned a lot about myself and about what I'm willing to put up with and deal with and what I now will defend on the hill. First and foremost, don't get Sling TV. I don't know why you would, given all the options. It is the cheapest. Yes. You can get some channels of TV for $20, a month, or you can get these channels for $25 a month, or you can combine $50 a month, and it's still $15 whole cheaper than all those other places. And it's like, I get it now. Yeah. So when I was let go, I had to cancel a lot of things, subscriptions as you would when you lose your income like that, and you try to tighten the belt up. I thought YouTube TV, I could do better. I think I can do better here. Let me just do a little research, see what else is out there. I think Sling is running a promotion right now. Cool. So I ditched YouTube TV. It ends at the end of September. Cue up the beginning of October. I have Sling TV. But maybe it was a fever dream. Maybe I was hallucinating. Maybe my edibles got mixed up with someone else's edibles who doesn't like the cool feeling of THC and prefers hallucinogens, I guess. Psychedelics, shrooms. I swear on my mother that I saw that Sling TV had SNY, and I was like, let's go. $50 and I get SNY, which broadcast home of the Mets. They broadcast literally 130 of the 162. So yeah, a lot of Mets games. And I was like, Sling has SNY and they're running this promotion, and I like, what do I lose? The only reason I upgraded YouTube TV because I thought they had more channels that my then wife would enjoy, and you thought I was just a selfish piece of shit. You're wrong, because I was looking out for her. So I was like, I don't even really need YouTube TV. I was thinking about it. I was like, I only really watch like basically SNY or one of the local channels, when there's a football game on or baseball game on, national football, baseball games. So I was like, why do I have YouTube TV? Like, I just don't watch most of what's on there. And since I've signed up for like Paramount Plus and Prime Video and Peacock and all those other streaming stations, like they all have kids programming. So, and she never is like, we need to tune in to Paw Patrol Friday at 4:30. There's a special. It's a 2-hour special. Like, she's never saying that. I was like, yeah, I'll just do Sling. That seems like an easy slam dunk. And I don't know where I saw that. I don't know where I looked on a webpage and thought, okay, this is valid information in the year 2022. Because I think at one point Sling did carry SNY, and then SNY wanted more, and then I don't know. And yeah, I signed up for it, and it turns out, nope, Sling does not have, not only does Sling not have SNY, they haven't had it for a couple of years now, but you sign up for it and you look at the guide and it's like they were in some kind of dispute with Disney. So literally all the Disney channels, all the ESPN channels, FX, ABC, whatever, don't have it. And I was like, oh my God. So now I can't watch the final games of the year on SNY for the Mets. I'm going to miss those. And then I'm going to miss the freaking playoff games because I don't have ESPN now. God damn. So I instantly regret it. And then found out, oh, well, we don't carry local channels because local channels like ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox make our plans too expensive. And I was like, what? Okay. All right. So Sling's solution is like, hey man, why don't you go old school? Just get an antenna, dude. Just get an antenna. Then I find out, my apartment building doesn't allow, I'm like 99% sure it doesn't allow us to just put up an antenna outside. So I was like, I'd have to get an inside antenna, which doesn't work as well, I've heard. And you're also in a spot surrounded by woods, so you probably won't get a signal, and you're stuck like halfway between New York City and Philadelphia. You either get one or the other. Whereas if you have cable, you have both. And I had both when I was on SNY. I would just have to like update the area or something like that. Sling is just like, oh, well, here are the Philadelphia local channels. So I would be able to watch the Giants home games. I mean, the Giants games, because the Giants games are on Fox New York, not Fox Philadelphia, unless they're playing the Eagles. So I was like, holy shit, I just made the worst decision of my life very quickly and didn't put any research into this. What the hell? And of course, I guess it was a couple days later. I don't know how much longer, but few days later, where they were like, oh, we came to an agreement. You can come back and we'll give you $10 credit. I was like, no, I'm not going back to you. This just seems like you're doomed. You are doomed. Like that Sunday trying to watch the Giants Bears game. Nope. So then I'm like harassing my mother with her iPhone and her iPad. I'm like, do you have NordVPN? She has NordVPN. Yeah. And so we were going to change the home area on her YouTube TV account because she still has one, to New York so that we could get the Giants Bears game, because down here they were playing like the Panthers Browns game or something like that, because that's like the local team, the Carolina Panthers. And then they showed some other game as the afternoon game. Anyway, so I was like, well, what we'll do is we'll enable your VPN, we'll sign into your YouTube TV account, and then we'll update the settings so the home area is New York. Easy peasy, 1, 2, 3, dude. And I tried that for about an hour and a half before giving up on that and then finding out after Googling finally, and then talking with a live agent, understanding that, your VPN doesn't work with YouTube TV, and it also doesn't work with blah, 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 or blah, 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 and blah, blah. And I was like, well, I thought the VPN, that was like the main top selling point of a VPN is like, you can mask and spoof your IP so you can get, restrictions or blah, blah, blah. No more restrictions. Ugh, dude, whatever. And then so what I ended up having to do was, I guess I have a Sirius XM account. I think it's my mom. So like Sirius XM, if you're listening, like don't be a dick, don't be a narc. All right. I guess I forgot to sign out of my mom's account. Okay. So I got to listen to the game, which I love listening to Bob Hoppe and Carl Banks. I love it. But at the same time, it's like there are all these things happening that would be great to have a visual on. Because then after listening to the game, I would watch highlights or plays that have been highlighted on social media. And I'm like, when did that happen? Like, because there was no mention of it on the broadcast. I mean, again, Bob Hoppe and Carl Banks, great team. Not arguing that. But they have a tendency not to call everything out. So I had to like put the headphones in and listen to that as I'm trying to like play with the kids and watch the kids. They would be playing, and then all of a sudden they'd hear me just go, yes, way to go, baby. On Monday, I did the workout with my brother-in-law, a back workout. We went over to his friend's place starting at like 3 o'clock. I think we got there at like 3 o'clock, maybe 2:30, 3 o'clock. Helped him cut down his tree. This is how you know you're in the South. We helped him cut down a tree. This is unplanned. This was not a part of the agenda. It was just like, see that tree? My pool's going there. So I gotta get rid of that tree. And I'll be like, oh, well, congrats on the new pool. That's awesome. And I guess, what do you want me to do about it? And it's like, well, we can cut it down. Like, okay. So we cut it down, disposed of it. There was homemade wine. Whoa, dude. Guy brought out homemade Muscadino wine, whatever the hell it's called. And then would ask me every 5 minutes if I liked it. I was like, this is a test. I said, yes, I love it. It's great. It's subtle. This is the 10th time you asked me that question. What's going on, bro? So thinking maybe a little insecure about the literal fruits of his labor. And then listening to my brother-in-law and his friends just like do de-measuring contests the whole night. Like, oh, my truck's got this, my truck's got that, my truck's bigger, oh, my truck's bigger. And like, well, your smoker, does it have this? Well, my smoker's got this. Hell yeah, my smoker's got this, and then I got this. It's like, oh yeah, you got that? Well, I got this. It's like, oh, okay. It is a competition, and I am losing severely. It's just different world completely. Anyway, my brother-in-law initially went over there and brought me because he was studying for his oral boards, and so in that case, I got to bear witness to that. So they basically have a computer program, I guess, because that's where his friend was sitting, was on a computer, and he would give information. My brother-in-law would ask questions, and he would have scripted answers for the most part. I'd be like, say this, don't say this, say this. And so my brother-in-law through these series of questions, and then I guess mocked procedures, or actions, critical actions. Then you can tell like, okay, this is the critical action where you got everything wrong and the patient died. So you got a 7 out of 10. It's like, whoa, okay. How do they know if something's Got to watch that, which was cool. Then we stuck around and smoked some meats because that's big. A lot of red meat going around. So I think that's why, looking back, I think that's why I got gout the last time I was there. It was because like I don't normally eat that much red meat during the week. You know, it's like a burger maybe on Friday night, every other Friday night. Like I thought about it, and it's like I just mostly chow down on the chicken and the turkey. So this red meat thing, my body, I don't know, but that's a lot of red meat down there. Brisket, black buck, and then I want to say like round roast or something like chuck roast. I have no idea, but just a ton of meat, dude. Talking about what would you do if the purge were real? Got some really interesting. You want to learn about people? Play the purge. What would you do if this was the purge? What would you do? You learn a lot about their answers. Like if the purge happened, this is how much I pretty confident my lack of fighting skills and my lack of armory, I guess you would say, ammo, weapons, tools of destruction. Like I don't have any of that. I'm not trained in hand-to-hand combat. So if the purge happens, it's like, I guess if someone gave me a gun, I could maybe do defense. But otherwise, like, I'm the guy who started it all with the security system, like the amped up security system. That'd be me. So I'd probably run, or hole up somewhere. Yep. You just learned that you probably should not go to war with me by your side. So, this is some interesting answers, dude. Play that with your friends next time, and then try and figure out if, like, hey, is this person like an actual psychopath, or are they normal? Like, this is a normal fantasy. That was a fun game to play. Learned a lot. And you also know you're in the South, when you drive the big pickup truck with the big tires, and you have a smoker type grill with a fire oven, and you've got it all in the palm of your hand, your fingertips. You're in the South when you have all that. But you also have a neighbor, and you talk to that neighbor, and it's actually kind of seems like a friendly, cordial conversation, and then you actually offer help for that neighbor, and the neighbor being like, yeah, I will return the favor. Like, what? Neighbors do that? So I think that happens in the South. Only in the South. Even more Southern, in my opinion. Again, I'm basing this off one night. All this is coming from one night. Like, that neighbor then coming back over for a drink, and then swapping places halfway through with his wife, because there's kids. 2 kids. Watch the kids. Like, that was like, why? This is oh, okay. And then you definitely know you're in the South when you're from the North. It's essentially, yep. Because they will not let it go that you're from the North. Like, I can't drive because I'm from the North, and I'm like, I can't drive. How does that? Well, we've driven way more miles than you. It's millions and billions of miles. Shit, we could be NASCAR drivers, and that's when I almost lost it. I was like, what? Oh, why are you guys not NASCAR? Oh, it's family politics. If you're not, it doesn't have the last name Earnhardt, and it's just like, so you're telling me if you went and tried out for NASCAR, you can make the NASCAR and become a NASCAR driver? Both of you under one house, but you decided to not pursue that for some reason because it doesn't pay enough. So that was interesting. But I can't drive because I haven't driven as many miles, but also because I'm the North. So why would I drive a lot? Because I just take the subway everywhere, apparently. So that was fun. I definitely lost my patience towards the end there. Because it's like, I had an interview in the morning, not technically the morning, 12:30, but I got to get up in the morning and prepare for it. Because if I want to, land this job, I got to like come across as like halfway knowledgeable about what I'm doing, my life, which I'm not. 1:00 rolled around in the morning. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, dude, we're half an hour away. Whew. And sure enough, so then they decided that they were going to play this little game of like, let's see how long we can draw out this bullshit. Because they then, by the time we actually left the house and got to the truck, it was then 1:45, 1:50. Half an hour. These guys were just jibber jabbering and a rat-a-tat-tang about I'm a better driver than you. I'm a better hunter than you. I'm a better. And then, getting in the car and then just being like, and then more bullshitting outside the truck. Well, about when I heard about that. No, you know about that. And it was just like, and he's like, and then, the guy says, this is why you can never live in the South. You need to relax, man. And I'm like, how much longer are we guys going to just like tug each other off in the kitchen? The sun would be coming up if I let that go on. The sun. Black hole sun, won't you come? Yeah. So you're in the South when that shit sticks. Sure enough, I don't get to bed till like 2:30, and it's a school night for the kids, my niece and nephew. So they're up at like 6:30. So yeah, they woke me up like 6:30. So I had like 3-4 hours of sleep, maybe. And then I couldn't go back to sleep after I woke up. I was just like, all right, this is life now. Fortunately, was able to caffeinate myself into a good enough position to conduct this interview with any kind of acumen. But then I crashed harder after that. I was like, all right, Mom, I'm napping at your place because you live alone. Napped it up there for a good 3 hours, I'd say, on Tuesday. And then that night, Tuesday night, I decided to take a sleep aid. I brought my sleep aid. It's my backup kind of last emergency sleep aid. It's not like, it's like break in case of emergency. And I was like, I really want to sleep hard and strong tonight. Like, I cannot be light sleeping tonight. I need that heavy duty slumber party type sleep. So I took the sleep aid, doxylene succinate, something like that. And I fell asleep. Cool. Woke up and had the world. And I was like 8-9 hours of sleep. I always thought if you take a sleep aid and you get less, like they say, get less than 8 hours of sleep on a sleep aid, you're going to be like ineffective, just a non-factor the next day. But I thought if you hit that 8-hour mark that you should be good. Like maybe is a little bit of a hangover the first hour, but then you kind of get a coffee in you and then you're good to go. I almost got 9 hours of sleep. This pill that's not big completely savaged the day after. Just completely put a big red X over my day when I woke up. Because I couldn't think. I couldn't speak. It was horrific. I was just like, no kind of energy whatsoever. No focus. It's just the generic like Kirkland signature sleep aid from Costco. It is just a nightmare. Dude. So that was my Wednesday. And then Thursday, I felt better, was helping out around the house a little bit more, helped take the kids to jujitsu practice. I was thinking about signing up for jujitsu and of course lost the job and I was like, oh, can't afford that. But was curious to see how a jujitsu practice works with kids that range in age from 5 to 12, maybe? I don't know. I honestly, other than my niece and nephew, if you paraded out 100 kids in front of me, I wouldn't guess one correctly. No idea. It's like if you told me that my daughter, without knowing me, her, that kind of relationship was 4, I'd be like, all right, come on, brah. You got any crypto? Got any of the magic fairy dust? Jiu-jitsu practice was fun to watch. It was only like half an hour, but the exercises that they have them do, and you have to give the kids a little bit of credit that they don't just get frustrated and just punch someone in the face or throat or balls in this kind of practice setting, because it's a lot to, I guess that's the point. You learn control and discipline, but there are some times where I was just like, because when the kid's not engaged in jujitsu and they're left to their own devices, this one kid was just literally bouncing off the walls, just running, doing suicides where he would just run, jump into the padded wall, bounce right back, run to the other end, jump to the padded wall, run back, like going around and touching everyone like it's a duck, duck, goose, like hanging on the back of his father, who is like an assistant coach, tutor, mentor. Like how they then can go from that like insane, like madcap Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck type situation where they're all over the place, to then go into a controlled jujitsu hold or escape a jujitsu hold or throw and not lose it and decide to kick or punch or bite. Like, okay, the human mind. All right, give it up. But they allowed my daughter to join, even though she's not a paying customer, and she was wearing her pajamas because she didn't have school, so you can do whatever the hell you want. So she just shows up in her pajamas. They let her do jujitsu, and she did, the one-on-one drills were just her and her niece, basically, just like sitting on each other's laps, being like, but I can't tell the ages of these kids. My niece too. Like if you were like, hey, how old's that girl? I'd be like, gotta be like 13, 14, 15 probably. She's 9, and she's the biggest kid at this jujitsu practice. All the other boys look like they might be older, but they're like a full foot shorter. Like, whoa. So she was like the top dog in the class, because it's like, you're not ready for this jelly, bro. Like you're just not. And plus I'm a girl, so try and wrap your head around that while I wrap my legs around your torso and squeeze the life out of you. It was fun though. I enjoyed that. The jujitsu. I can't tell if it was that night or the night before. I think it was Thursday night. We watched, my sister and I watched Do Revenge, which is a revenge movie starring Maya Hawke, who's the daughter of Uma Thurman, and Ethan Hawke, Camlla Mendes. And also, and I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to say her name. I'm going to say it. Although, what do you care? Sarah Michelle Gellar's in the movie. It kind of spoiled it. That's kind of a fun moment, but like, she's in it. And, so this was like a nod to all those revenge movies in the 90s and early 2000s, like Heathers, Jawbreaker, a little bit of Mean Girls in there, a little bit of Clueless, Cruel Intentions. Jesus Christ. It almost felt like someone my age wrote the movie, and then some executive was like, all right, this is cool, but let's just run it through the Gen Z scanner. And it was just like, you hand it to a Gen Z kid and they just are like, they make their notes all over it. And I assume that must be what life is like for a lot of teenagers and high schoolers, where it's like they have to deal with all this PC bullshit type stuff. I was worried that it was just going to be like, they're just talking code, right? Just talking code right now, and I'm supposed to figure it out. But it was like, no, they actually poked fun at a lot of that kind of language and behavior throughout the movie, which I liked, because some of it's a little over the top. But I loved, Maya Hawke as usual. She's great. So is Camlla Mendes. Thoroughly enjoyed it. So it's a recommend from me, dog. And it was a great plot twist too. God, I don't want to give it away. It's got a couple twists, I think, but there's one big one that's like, oh yeah. So Maya Hawke's character is a lesbian. That's a huge critical plot point, so remember that. But I do feel like they kind of forced her falling for it. Just felt like such a arbitrary storyline that I think it's like, if you're not going to do it well, I don't think you should do it. Although I guess it needs to be a storyline, but she falls for like the guy. So they each have someone that they're trying to get revenge on. Maya Hawke and Camlla Mendes. They're like, this person. They're like, let's do revenge on each other's arch enemy or whatever. So Maya Hawke is trying to get the Camilla's ex-boyfriend revenge on that guy, and ends up having a sister who's a lesbian. So they hit it off, and they kind of like are attracted to each other. But I felt like those scenes like fell flat. It's just like, it feels like it's just thrown in. Like, it doesn't even need to really be anything. But I could see how you kind of need that, given like the major traumatic event that really spurned or spawned this storyline. Okay, I get it. But still, if you're gonna do it, like, do it right. Because this is just like less than a handful, feels like, interactions between the two. And the interactions they had were kind of like, all right, like, this doesn't feel that unique or special or whatever. And then the ending is just like, I'll spoil it. There's revenge. Okay. Let's just say they did revenge. Okay. But as the sister, you're like, he was that much of a dick to you? I liked it a little bit. Not that much. Okay. And then on Friday, I had so many goddamn interviews. So many. It was only 3. And the third one actually got canceled because they're like, yeah, the role's been filled. And I was like, all right, thanks for giving me the opportunity. First one went really well, and the second one, I just had like an aneurysm or something. It was like the person asked me a fairly innocuous question, and I just was like, just glitching. Like, how did that happen? I was so on point just like an hour ago, and it's all going to hell. That night, though, we got to watch Day Shift with Jamie Foxx, Dave Franco, and Snoop Dogg. It's about this vampire hunter who has been banished or permanently suspended or banned from the Hunters Union, which is a thing, and that's a thing because there are actual vampires and they're figuring out how to go out in daylight, and they're taking over LA. And so this Jamie Foxx plays this vampire hunter who's not with the union, so he has to do everything on his own and then try and find his own buyer for the fangs, because the fangs are very valuable, worth a lot of money, and the union pays higher, but he doesn't have a relationship with the union. So he goes to this other guy who I'm pretty sure was one of the bad guys in Fargo, but also he's been in a ton of stuff. Really good character actor. So at the same time, his wife, or I guess his ex-wife at that point, and their daughter want to move to Florida, and he's like, don't take her from me because I can't move to Florida because everything I have is here. And so he now has to come up with a certain amount of money to keep his ex-wife and daughter in LA, and so he's got to figure that out in a week or something like that. So that's the basic premise of the movie. I mean, I really like, from the first song on the soundtrack was just awesome, so good. It leads off with Tupac. It was like California Love, and that's what happens when you get Snoop Dogg on the cast. I feel like he's just like, yeah, I'll clear that. You can use that. Permission. Which Snoop Dogg's character was pretty cool too. Big John rolls up in a pickup truck in like country western garb, which is pretty funny. He had a pretty good solid performance. I haven't watched a lot of movies where Snoop Dogg's a character. I think Starsky and Hutch, he was in it and he was like pretty good, but it was like he was playing himself. So I think there was maybe a little bit of a concern there, like, this is gonna be wooden, it's not gonna feel good, and it turns out no, he's pretty good. Every scene he was in was just like awesome. Except I feel like they drew out the scene where Big John is trying to get Jamie Foxx's character back in the union, and the union boss is like, no way, it's not happening. I feel like that kind of dragged on. That was like, this is a scene that we've all seen before. Feels like we're just going through what you would expect in this scene, but you're trying to put like your own spin on it. But it's like, we've seen this before. What is different about this other than the guy's a mullet? Cool. But the action scenes, dude, in this movie, second to none. I mean, I'm trying to think of another action movie I've seen other than The Raid. I remember The Raid having like ridiculous fight scenes. This had more, it feels like, because they had CGI working for them. I think that was part of it, but also they hired like all these contortionists from the Blue Man Group, or no, Cirque du Soleil, because they were out of work because of COVID, and so like they were introduced into we now have vampire contortionists everywhere. Cool. It's a type of vampire. Yeah. So he gets temporarily back into the union, and he's assigned a partner who's gonna watch over him and report any violations, and then report that back to the union boss, and then Jamie Foxx's character would be completely forever banned. So he gets partnered with Dave Franco. So I think that's a good pairing. It's a good duo. Like Dave Franco, the uptight suit wearing dork who knows every single violation of every single code in the union handbook by heart, with Jamie Foxx, who's like forever in a Hawaiian shirt, living that comfy life. And then the evil boss, the antagonist, was the young lady from How to Get Away with Murder. She was the Hispanic Latina student who was like in love with that one guy. They fell out of love. I don't know. There's a lot going on there. I think we basically gave up on that when we gave up on our marriage. Hey, she was in it and she gave it all. I mean, I don't know. She tried to put her little stamp on it, but that came out weird. That sounded demeaning. Not her little stamp. She tried to put her stamp, her own seal of approval on her character. And I think it was just poorly written for her, for being honest. I mean, do you know what the definition of insanity is? It's like, no, because every other villain in the world hasn't already asked me that. So yeah, I had some notes. Who am I? But that first action scene in the opening, with Jamie Foxx, who goes to the what appears to be the old granny's apartment, and she's like, "What are you doing in my house?" He shoots her with a shotgun. It's in the trailer. I'm not spoiling anything. That scene was bonkers. They introduced. I mean, they were fully aware of all the other movies that had vampires. So I think they were trying to put their own stamp on it, and succeeding. I thought. Saying selling the fangs. I don't think that was ever really a thing with vampire movies. If you get their blood on you, the black stuff, you have to rinse it off or something happens. They'll turn or you'll go crazy or something like that. So he has this orange kind of powder that he has to wash himself with. So that was it's a cool little addition. You want to use this type of wooden pellets for your gun for when you shoot them in the heart because they're from this specific area. And it has to be silver plated or something type tripwire to cut off the head, because if you don't cut off the head and shoot them in the heart, then they'll come back and regenerate. It's all right, this is okay. I'm with it. Every action scene, dude. And I also didn't understand okay, now we're gonna enter the spoiler section of my review. Okay, you ready? Spoiler, here it comes. So Dave Franco gets bit. He turns to a vampire. Okay, spoiler alert. He talks us through him becoming the vampire, shortly after having been bit. Oh, my blood feels like it's on fire and I can smell everything, right? But then one of the final big scenes, the climax of the movie, he goes to his very first fight, hostile engagement, and there was no scene where he's I know kung fu, or a training montage or anything like that. It was just okay, because in every fight scene prior to that, his character, non-vampire him, would piss his pants. I mean, he fought that one chick in the hive takedown scene for the entire scene. It was just him against that one woman who I'm sure was damn it, I'm not as strong as this guy. This blows. That guy, how do you go from that guy to, okay, now I'm a vampire and I just know all the martial arts and I'm the sickest fighter ever, zero training? That was I could have addressed that a little bit. And then I also learned that vampires don't pee or poop. Whoa, that one might have rattled me the most out of everything that was discussed and broached in this movie, is they don't pee or poop. I guess because there's no waste. When you ingest all that blood, there's no waste because it's going nutrients. How do you waste? That's why I'm not a doctor. This is why I couldn't become. My brother-in-law was I think you would be good at this. I was I don't know. It's a lot of memorization. He's nah, you just figure it out after 10 years. And I'm oh, okay. Cool. And I was but then one of my actions can kill a person. So I make a lot of mistakes. It's an interesting end for Snoop Dogg's character too. And they kind of sped through the scene where I feel they introduced his neighbor really late in the movie. And then it felt we were missing scenes because the second or third scene, it just seemed they were so, we were so close and da-da-da. It's just when did all that happen? And all of a sudden you're willing to fight for this guy because what? Okay. Just seems a little quick. And they're acting we should know more or something or feel more. It's I don't. And they set it up so that they could potentially do a sequel. They definitely left the door open. That's for sure. And then Saturday, of course, was Palmetto Farms, where I was all right, let's follow it up. Now now it feels like October. Okay. Going to a farm, pick out some pumpkins, all the great stuff that happens in the fall. So I got to dress accordingly. So I'm going to wear a button-down shirt with jeans, boots, and a hoodie, and a hat and sunglasses. It's just we get there, and I was sweating my nips off, dude. And everyone else was just wearing shorts and tank tops and just sandals. And I'm just who the hell is this Yankee? Am I getting this wrong? And I'm probably going to alienate the entire South, but I feel the South is the North is living rent-free in the South's head. Does that make sense? And I'm canceled. Damn it. I love the South. I do. Just don't shoot me. So yeah, Saturday we had to kind of, I would have loved to go to bed early because I had to wake up for a 6:05 flight. I had to wake up at like probably 3:00. And my sister's like, why don't you just go to bed at 8? And I was like, oh yeah, why don't I just miss the Mets playing the Braves? The Padres in a decisive wild card game. Yeah, why don't I just go to bed, miss that piece of history? I'm glad I stayed up. I got to see them win, which is great. They only won 1 of 3. So I got to see the one win. Problem is, it took them like 4+ hours to get that win and just everything. The one inning lasted an hour. Edwin Diaz, they had like a running clock on Edwin Diaz's last pitch. The time elapsed. It was like, Edwin Diaz has now gone 143 hours without throwing a pitch. His last pitch was 2 weeks ago. Like, okay, this is getting a little ridiculous. Yeah, so I didn't get to bed till like after 12. As I was setting my alarm for that night, I was like, I'll just check my email one last time because I've been checking for my phone for updates on this flight because there's no human way that a flight is actually going to take off at 6:05 a.m. Sorry, I shouldn't say a flight. A Spirit flight is going to take off on time at 6:05 a.m. But who am I, dude? Checked my email one last time for going to sleep. And I, of course, like a minute before I checked it, I had received an email. Literally, the timestamp was like 12:16 a.m. and saying, oh, we're delaying the flight to 7:25. And so my sister had already gone to bed. I immediately text my mom, my sister being like, hey, probably asleep, but this is the case. This is the scenario. Because my sister had to drive me. So I got to sleep maybe an extra half hour to an hour. Was somewhat proud of myself for battling the conditions and the elements and remembering everything and get everything packed and in the car. That includes my daughter. Because my daughter was sleeping in my nephew's bedroom with my niece. I opened the door to wake her up. It was a volcano inside. There was lava everywhere. Crazy hot. Insanely hot. Like a sauna. Like everyone was just starfished completely, like all limbs extended, like help me. But they're asleep and unconscious. So they don't know that they're in an oven. It's like you're not just dreaming about an oven, you are in an oven. But I was proud of her. She did the standard 3 to 4 dream questions. Like, but why did mommy punch Santa Claus? It's like, no, what, Santa? Did that really happen? Got her up, got in the car, got to the airport right on time. Not a very long wait. As we're walking to the gate, she kept asking for water. She kept on doing this with her throat, like grabbing her throat and being like, oh, water. And I was like, as soon as we get to the store, I'm getting you that water. Trust me. And so I got her a big smart water, and I was like, she's like, can I hold it? Yeah, you can hold it. 2 hands. And then as we're walking, and I look up to find my gate, I see this woman kind of slow down who's walking by me, or maybe she was standing and waiting to get on a plane. She was just standing there, and she looks over at me, and then her eyes go like to my right, her left, and then like a look of horror comes over her face, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on with this? And she goes, she's throwing up, and she's like points to my daughter, and I turn, and Bree's got her hands up like at her mouth, and there's just like streams, it's like strewn vomit everywhere, vomiting strewn all about down her arms, on her shirt, on her pants. And I was just like, okay, this is cool. So I was like, it's okay. Take her in the men's bathroom because there's no unisex bathroom, So, I know it's weird, dude, that doesn't have children or that does have children and is not divorced. But yeah, so I had to take her in the men's room. Newsflash, sorry. And then I cleaned her off, and I'm like, oh, it's okay. When you vomit, that's just your body. I think she was saying, why do we throw up? Why is there throwing up? It just seems kind of like, what? Why? And I just told her it's the body's way of rejecting or getting rid of something it doesn't want. It's like whatever you drank or ate, the body's like, I don't want to process this, or I can't process this, or if you might die. So then they throws up. She's like, oh, okay. So I clean her up. We finally, after we get out of the bathroom to clean her up, there's like a line. Everyone's in line. Like the last bit of the line is now entering the jetway from my gate. And I'm like, what the fuck? They didn't even make any announcements. Like we were not in there that long. We get on the plane. It's like not crowded at all. It's definitely not sold out. It's not full. The guy sitting next to me looks like Pat Shermer, who I just roasted on Twitter, even though I thought he was the Broncos OC still. And I was like, this guy? And so I sent out a group chat message about it. And I was like, no, he actually, he was only with the team last year, not this year. I was like, ugh. But guy looks like Pat Shermer. I was like, shit, did he like get in contact with my group chat? And then he knows, dude. He knows I said that about him, even though he's not the current OC. He was the former OC. Ribbit. So he's wearing a Raider shirt. So that threw me off as well. It's like, why's Pat Shermer wearing a Raider shirt when he's the Broncos OC? Anyway, he sees what I'm going through with the little one. And he was like, I'll give you guys your space, because I was like, hey, if you're going to, as soon as she sat down, I pulled out the barf bag. I was like, hey, if you're going to hurl into this. Don't spew in my car. And she's like, okay. She nods. And as soon as the guy heard that, he was like, hey, I'm going to give you guys your space. Okay. I'm just going to go over here. And so he went across the aisle. That's how many empty seats there were. And they didn't care. So sure enough, like right around takeoff or right at takeoff, she's like taps me and she points to the bag. So I put the bag in her mouth and she threw up a lot, dude. It was a lot. It was a lot. And so that was like, we were in ascent. We were just started our ascent into the sky. And I immediately hit the call button. After this guy, the flight attendant, made so many freaking announcements. It's like, Spirit, I can't believe you need a guide on announcements. First of all, make announcements at the gate. Second of all, don't have your flight attendants go into stand-up comedy routines. Did you workshop this? Doesn't feel like you workshopped it. Did you go to the open mics? No, you didn't. You just thought the writing was strong enough. It's also about delivery. Anyway, yeah, this flight attendant nonstop on the mic, dude. I mean, it's a simple announcement. Be aware of your surroundings. Hey, put your tray up. Make sure your seatbelt's buckled, okay? No more electronics. Thanks. Like, why aren't the announcements like that? This guy took it a whole other level. He was like, make sure that you got your hair, your bags, your blah blah. I'm just like, it was so polarizing for this flight, because in my head I'm thinking, there's no way anyone likes what's happening right now. This flight attendant is just riffing on the freaking mic and bombing horrifically, making these announcements, trying to make jokes. Like, bro, it's 7:30 in the morning. I don't want to hear your fucking jokes, okay? I got up at 4. I don't need your fucking jokes, bro. But apparently, people behind me loved them. The people in front of me loved them. And there was this lady across the aisle from me who just kept saying, shut the fuck, shut the fuck, shut the fuck. The level of cringe coming out of this dude's mouth. But I've never seen or heard a flight attendant get more compliments than this motherfucker. Oh, I love it. You have so much personality and it's just great. And I'm like, I had to withstand this one flight. I can't imagine being on that dude's crew. I'd slip my wrists. Like, dude, let's go. Get through the announcements. No one's listening to the announcements anyway. And like, now you think that your fucking act is going to make me listen to your rules. No. Also, dude, it's not a flight full of bachelor parties headed to Vegas, bro. You know, it's not Saturday afternoon. We're not pre-gaming on the flight. It's 7:30 in the morning. And we thought this flight was taking off at 6. I'm on 3 hours of sleep. And you are aware that it's morning. And you see the faces staring back at you. And you still decide to be unbearable, dude. Unbearable. How many Newark babies in the house? Well, I'm from Los Angeles, but I got the Newark in my heart. We're an Atlanta-based crew. It's just like, where are my Newark babies at? Like, no one's excited to go into Newark, dude. No one's excited. Everyone's trying to sleep and you won't let them. But nope, fucking people loved him. I was like, and this is why he keeps doing it. Because he keeps getting these compliments from these idiots. How do you like what he's doing right now? He's just talking. That he's saying so many sentences and such long sentences that can be so much shorter. For what? The bitch behind me to laugh? Come on. So yeah, apparently me and the lady across the aisle were the only ones who were not cool with it. And this is why, that's why I know I'm going to die alone. I'm already alone. And I'm like, I've accepted it. I'm alone. And of course, the Giants played the Packers in London, 9:30 in the morning. We landed at like 9. And I was like, I'm never going to catch that 9:38. No way, dude. It's going to take me like at least an hour to get my bag. And then it's going to take 15 minutes for every friggin' monorail rail link thing. And it's now getting fixed on the one side. So we had to switch and transfer. There's no way I'm going to get that 9:38 flight. And so I get down to baggage check. First of all, it takes forever to deport the plane. And I can't explain it to my daughter. She asks me every time, like, why are people not getting off the plane? It's just like, I know. Yeah, right? What an interesting question. But we got off the plane and then went down to baggage check, and literally it walks up to the baggage check. My bag was there. It was like, whoa, that's a record. That's never happened to me. So at this point, I'm like, maybe I can make the 9:38. And so, I have to get on the stupid monorail thing. I have to switch after 2 stops because the one side's being repaired. And then I have to get yelled at by this woman who keeps getting questions from other annoying people about what's happening, even though it's very easy to understand. She talked to us like we were 5 because there was one idiot that kept piping up. Yeah, we missed our train by the 9:38 train by like 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Like if it was just me, I would have made the train. But I tried to like kind of scamper, go fast down the stairs because the escalator. And she kind of was a good sport for the first second and then was like, Daddy, no. I'm like, all right, I probably shouldn't risk life and limb to catch the 9:38 back to Princeton Junction. So we had to wait an hour. And so I decided, all right, I know you vomited twice now, but I'm going to give you lots of food because you're probably hungry. You vomited out all your food, so maybe you need more food. We had to wait an hour for the next train. We get on the train, about an hour, Princeton Junction. Car's still there. thank the Lord, get in the car. We go back to my place and then I give her some more food. And then she proceeds to, she's like, she was pointing to the water bottle because the water bottle in her mind is like the cure all. Like it's going to prevent me from vomiting. I'm like, I wish, sister. I wish. So she's pointing to that. I'm like, you have to puke? You have to throw up? And she's like, yeah. So they go in the bathroom. She threw up so much. I was like, that's your entire body. That is coming from every square inch of your body. You are emptying the barrel, dude. Whoa. Okay. So then after that, it was like, you're not touching any more food while you're in my possession. And she's passed out watching Dino Ranch. One of the interviews, I had to take a test, 72 hours to complete. It was 6 sections and each section had like 3 or 4 questions. I was like, oh my God, 72 hours. And they gave it to me on Friday at 1:00, which means it's like I did as much as I could for Friday night. Nothing Saturday. Couldn't do anything Saturday because we were at the farms. And then we got after it with some cigars and looking at Jupiter. And then Sunday, I was traveling for most of the day. And then if I wasn't traveling, I was napping. And then when I wasn't napping, I was eating too much food, dude. I just love food. God, don't stop. Don't stop me now because I'm having a food time. Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna stop it right there. Thanks so much for listening. Peace.